after this game, I can comfortably say, looking down all the teams, all 32 quarterbacks, he's a top 5 quarterback, 100%. You look at the quarterbacks that you could put above him respectfully. You put Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, those 4 people. There's not really anybody else I could throw in there. Maybe you want to throw in Jalen Hurts. After how he played on Sunday, he's not in that conversation. I would take CJ Stroud. So really, it's like, I feel like there's 5 quarterbacks in the league that could put themselves in a situation like that and be Superman. And CJ Stroud put himself in that conversation as a top 5 quarterback. And I feel very confident putting him there and keeping him there for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I feel more than confident keeping him and putting him there because I don't think it's that ridiculous to say because you go into a dysfunctional Houston situation where we didn't know what D'Amico Ryans was going to be. The NFL is kind of moving away from defensive head coaches here. It's definitely frowned upon when you hire that type of head coach. And then also, you're stepping into a team last year where you thought Lovie Smith screwed you over by winning the last game versus the Indianapolis Colts last year to end your season, which you ended up getting the number 2 pick, and then you used that to go out there and get CJ Stroud. However, you really weren't sure what the weapons around him were going to do. And then, as far as a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, we haven't seen too many rookie quarterbacks be this good in their first year where they're top in the league in QBR. They're leading a team who is 3-13 the past few years. You're leading a team out of the weird, uncomfortable, bizarre situation that was Deshaun Watson. They ended up passing him on to the Cleveland Browns over there. But this was a very dysfunctional team. There are a lot of question marks, not a lot of people like Houston's owner either. So the fact that he was able to come into this situation and do this much in year 1, we have not seen Josh Allen be this good in year 1. He was a turnover machine for the first 2 years of his career. Wasn't until year 3 where he really took off. We didn't see Patrick Mahomes even play in his first year, but when we did see him play, he had a Hall of Fame tight end and maybe the best wide receiver of our generation, not named Calvin Johnson, on
Yes.
his team. And then CJ Stroud comes in with a couple rookie wide receivers where Andy Reid had kind of already developed the weapons and offensive line and defense around Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
Andy Reid was also a head coach who had been to perennial conference championships,
And Super
had been
Bowls.
to Super Bowls before with the Philadelphia Eagles, had made it deep playoff runs with Alex Smith on that team. So Patrick Mahomes is walking into a much more stable situation than CJ Stroud is. The
Mhm.
fact that he was able to change franchise that much and change their fortunes. Like, you look at Trevor Lawrence, what is he doing to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Then you look at Jalen Hurts, what is he doing right now? You look at Dak Prescott, well, he walked in, he had Des Bryant, Terrence Williams, Jason Witten, Ezekiel Elliott in his prime, the best offensive in the league, and still a great defense there. So CJ
Yeah.
Stroud, this is one of the most impressive feats, and the fact that he has a chance to host a home playoff game for the city of Houston after all of the weirdness with Deshaun Watson, all the weirdness with hiring one coach, firing them, hiring another one, Lovie Smith seemingly as a placeholder. Then you get D'Amico Ryans here, and then you get Bobby Slowick, who has had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay. He has had a cup of coffee with Kyle Shanahan as well, which is
Mhm.
a pretty good sign if you're an offensive guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to build on to what you said as well, going more like Lamar Jackson also. You look at all these quarterbacks that I mentioned that can be in that conversation with him.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, what have the Ravens been the last 25 years? Perennial playoff teams, great defenses. John Harbaugh, and then Joe
Yeah.
Burrow even. Joe Burrow, he stepped in a situation. He did change the fortunes of the Bengals, but they also drafted Jamar Chase and they had good weapons around him. Didn't have a good offensive line, but he turned their futures around. So really it's like you're talking about a guy who year 1 stepped in. The only other person that we can think about, although he didn't play year 1, is none other than the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. He
Brady.
stepped in, won them a Super Bowl. And other than that, it's like, who else can you really think about? All of these other guys that we can put in the top 5, which we confidently can now put him in, they were stepping into situations where they were either a good organization, had a good coach, or they weren't great to start, like Josh Allen in that example. So I think that with CJ Stroud, like he doesn't have much expectations going into this Browns game, but if he could go out there and win there without his number 1 wide receiver, he has Nico Collins back. That does help, but going in there, winning a playoff game for a Texans organization that had that Deshaun Watson thing floating over him. They had these weird hires, Lovey Smith, David Culley, and then Bob McNair, the issues that he's had as an owner. They had this weird aura with the Deshaun Watson situation. Did they um, enable him to do these things? We don't know, but Now they go in there. We go into a division winning playoff game where they're going to be hosting a playoff game against these Cleveland Browns. It's something that we really have. It's kind of unprecedented to see it to this point.
Yeah. And you are the Texans whisperer though, and then we did the recaps, and if you go back and watch the videos when we were previewing the AFC South, go back and watch those because I was like, I want to put the Texans in the playoffs so badly, but I
Yeah.
just don't know enough yet. But we had them at 8-9, which is I feel like we had them in like that 7 to 9 win range.
Hmm.
And that was our range for the Houston Texans. And I feel like expectationally, we are the most accurate. We've been earliest on the Houston Texans. We are earliest on CJ Stroud. And then going into the draft, go back and watch those videos. I was saying I would rather have CJ Stroud over Bryce Young. If you go back and just watch the tape, look at what he does in big games. And then he was kind of punished just for, being an Ohio quarterback.
Mm.
And it's kind of a stigma, but CJ Stroud was also by the local Houston media voted person of the year in Houston, and that's no easy feat there. So not
No.
only is he one of the most talented players on the field, arguably a top not only 5 but arguably a top 3 quarterback at the end of this playoff run, but it's like no one else has been able to do this, and then he has the talent and he also has the personality on top of it.